no matter where you are in your life right now, you can always incorporate some more movement into it to improve it for yourself. So that's what we're going to talk about today on this episode of Souls in Bloom. Hey everyone, I'm Laura.
I'm Kristen.
And this is Souls in Bloom, where we have open, candid, unscripted conversations to inspire your personal growth. Today, we're going to talk about incorporating movement into our lives, whatever that means for each individual person, and the benefits of that, and why Kristen and I both feel very strongly that it is something that everybody should try to incorporate into their daily lives. So, Kristen, you actually immediately had a thought as soon as we started discussing this topic of conversation. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what that was?
Yes. So as soon as we decided on this topic, the first thing that popped into my head was Isaac Newton's first law of motion, which I have right here so I don't mess it up. It states an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. This is literally the only thing about physics that I remembered from school.
not his apple, Newton's apple. Do you remember that?
No, this is it. But hey, look, it's coming in handy now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I thought of when we talked about doing this topic, and I thought it was great. So I have some, little bullet points that I can't wait to dive into. So where should we begin?
All right. Well, I'm thinking we start at the top, which is like, at minimal effort. Let's put it that way, because there's a lot of us out there these days that have desk jobs, for example, or just our mobility isn't as great as it used to be. Perhaps that's your situation as well. Maybe you are mentally in a place where like physical activity is a little difficult to do right now. And maybe you're not getting much of any at all. So I guess maybe should start out there, where we want to talk to you guys that are like basically doing nothing right now, just kind of getting through. And I think we've all been there. I know I've been there.
Oh yeah.
And before we start this conversation, we do have to put the little disclaimer out there that we are not doctors. Before you start any sort of exercise program or anything like that, consult your doctor and have that conversation with them. We're just anecdotally speaking from our personal experience, as well as from the research that we've done on the topics that we cover.
Correct.
So, I found this super interesting. I found this whole article from Harvard Health that was talking about different studies done about changing people's sedentary lifestyles, basically. And it had said that, especially in older people, specifically in this article, I think it was 60 and above or something like that, that just incorporating 30 minutes of movement in their day and breaking up those long stretches of just sitting improved their life expectancy by like 17% or something like that. And it wasn't even, because you hear all the time, like 30 minutes of exercise a day. And while that is good, this article was just saying getting up and walking around. Yes. And not even for 30 minutes straight. It was saying like, even if it's a minute at a time. So every like 20 minutes you get up and just do a lap around your house and sit back down. That is even hugely beneficial.
Yes. And even more minimally than that, I read that I think we might have read the same articles here because that sounded very familiar to me, but even just to stand up instead of sitting, like if maybe you're going to your doctor's appointment and all the chairs are there and you have to wait, instead of sitting, just stand up, because some of the articles I was reading, even that little bit of like, I guess like a little bit of a fidget while you're standing, like, maybe you're balancing back and forth off one leg or you're leaning or something, even that little bit of movement helps, because you're still getting that circulation, that, moving the muscles, stuff like that, even in that little bit.
Yeah. I didn't see that in the article I read, but we probably read something where it's citing similar studies, if you know what I mean. Yes, it's like, oh, I took down this note that even just like a little bit of movement, like what Kristen and I are talking about, says helps your muscles use the glucose in your body, especially those larger muscles like your legs. You have enormous muscles in your thighs, and that can help to stop your blood sugar levels from spiking and your insulin spiking because it's using up that glucose instead of just sitting there dormant. It doesn't know what to do with all of it because you're not using it.
Yeah.
So that can ultimately lead to some health issues.
Even on the plane, like on airplanes, they tell you to get up every once in a while for circulation.
That's
so, you
true.
know, it helps. It's really good for circulation as well.
That's very true. Insulin resistance. That's not good. You don't want that. And then the fatty plaque build up in your arteries, also not good. So even just this like little bit of movement, if you can just kind of force yourself to do it, and even just for a period of time, because a lot of these studies that I read, that I've read for this episode specifically, these studies are not long term. A lot of them are short term, like a couple months or less. One of them I'll tell you about later is only 10 days. And even just making yourself move for that period of time, like all these people got such benefits from it in different, not just health, but also emotionally as well, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But
yeah,
if you can, I don't know, let's maybe some suggestions for moving a little bit. I was actually looking into this just yesterday. Getting one of those like pedals that you sit under your desk. So if you have a desk job, if you really can't get up and move around as much as you want to because your boss is going to get mad at you or something, they have little pedals that just sit on the floor, like bike pedals. They also have like elliptical pedals just to get your legs moving. And that can be beneficial as well, rather than getting up and walking around. And that you can do while you're still working. It's still probably a good idea to get up and move your body.
Yeah.
But that can't hurt.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. They even have those standing desks too, where I actually just saw an ad about it the other day where you don't actually have to have the open space for it anymore. They actually make like an extension. It's just like a half desk that you put on top of your existing desk that just elevates it up. Like even right now, I have my laptop on a stand to bring it more eye level, so I'm not like hunched over at the laptop. So it's kind of like the same idea where it's like a bigger platform that raises everything up on your desk so you can stand and have that movement.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's something too. But even just if you wanted to even lay in bed, I've searched exercise videos on YouTube. They literally have something for everyone at any like mobility phase possible. They even have like stretches you can do while laying in bed, different type of exercises while laying in bed. Like, so there's definitely something out there, no matter what stage or age, that can be beneficial.
Yep. I actually wrote that down too.
Yeah.
YouTube is invaluable for free workouts, no matter your goal or fitness level.
Yes.
It's absolutely true. Whatever your specifications are, type it in YouTube. There's standing only workouts. If you have joint problems or something like that, I get pain in my knees if I do too much like, I can't think of what, plyometrics, maybe really a lot of jumping and stuff like that. Lunges are hard for me. It's hard on my knees, but I try it anyway, and then I get injured. But they have standing only workouts. They have lightweight workouts. You have strength training. You have stretching, yoga, and then you can get more specific workouts for seniors, workouts for recovering from a back injury, prenatal workouts, like resistance training. I don't know if I said that already or not, but you know what I'm saying. Or like, couch to 5K. That's another like program, but I think they have free videos on it. That's like from going sedentary to going to 5K. That's like a whole program that's out there. But it's all on YouTube, you guys, and it's free. You don't have to pay a dime to get a little more movement in your life.
Exactly.
Setting alarms. Like if you have a phone or a Apple Watch thing or something like that, that can go off every half an hour or whatever, just to remind you to get up and stretch and walk around and sit back down.
Even if it's the one lap around the house and back to your office, it's better than nothing.
Yeah. And yeah, it's definitely better than nothing. Nothing is not good at all. Do you have any other suggestions as far as like
let's see.
Oh, here's one. Park farther from your store. If you go someplace, it's just a little bit of extra walking. But if we're talking about that 30 minutes in a day when you want to walk around a bit, that extra minute you take to get to the store and the minute back, that's already like 2 additional minutes that you threw in there. Is no effort at all.
Yep.
Don't be lazy, guys. Don't sit and wait for the person that's, about to pack up their groceries and back out because they're, 7 spaces close to the store. Don't be that guy. Just park 7 spaces away.
Yeah.
Go walk. You're going to get into the store faster anyway because you're not waiting for somebody.
Right.
And it's better for your body. Your body will thank you later.
Especially if it's a nice day. Then there's really no excuse. So walk in the sunshine, get that vitamin D. I mean, come on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Not that this episode is about vitamin D deficiency at all, but like everybody's deficient in vitamin D, it seems. Yeah. So yeah, get more of that for sure. If you can go walk around your house, just take a brief walk outside. Vitamin D is like, the sun is very good for you. Not obviously in like too much dosages, but there are, it's better to absorb from the sun than have it in a pill form. It's just your body can take it in easier. So it's so good for you. Let's see.
I also had take the stairs over elevators or escalators.
Yes. That can be tricky again if we're talking about mobility issues or something like that. But if that's not your issue, definitely if you can manage stairs, do it. Even if it's like walking up the escalator instead of standing on it. Okay. So let's talk about if we're already moving a little bit, if we're not starting from scratch, like what benefits can we see from moving more than we already do? And that, like all these benefits that you get from just moving in general are going to be amplified once you like turn up your movement. So, what I have here, and I don't know if this is from the National Institute of Health, but one of the websites that, with merit says the benefits of working out or exercising or incorporating movement into your life include relieves your stress, relieves your depression, relieves your anxiety, relieves your anger, both in short term and long term. If incorporated into your regular routine, that's going to help you long term to handle the stress better. So like short term, it's like, let's say you had a stressful day at work. You work out in that day after you've been stressed, and it helps you feel better after the fact. Long term, you keep that routine going. Those stressful days become less stressful. That same like stress level you were dished out before, you get the same level later. You handle it better. You're just mentally more prepared to handle all that stuff.
Yes.
And I know I've personally benefited from it. We'll talk about this in a second. We're both kind of on health journeys, more or less. Yes. And I have noticed that it has helped me out long-term as well. But definitely when I'm feeling overwhelmed, like the kids are stressing me out or something like that, or it's been a rough day, working out, lifting some weights or something just to like really get the blood flowing and just like exhaust you a bit. It just like, it helps so much. It really does.
Yep. And then you mentioned it exhausts you. It helps with sleep too. So because you're working out, you're moving the body, you're exuding more energy. So you're more tired. So your sleep is better.
Yes. And actually, I will talk about another study. Now, this isn't really necessarily like vigorous exercise, but yoga. I was reading this study, and this comes from, where is it? Indian Journal of Physiology and Pharmacology. I read the study back from 2011. This was 77 participants against a group of like control people, and they did yoga for 10 days. They did do some like modifications, I think, to their diet as well, but like yoga every day was like the main thing. And far and wide, it helped like the majority of people, it helped improve their sleep quality. It helped them fall asleep faster. I think I didn't write down the exact number, but it was something like it would take them close to 30 minutes to fall asleep. And then after the 10 days, the average was closer to like 17 minutes. So we're talking like over like a 10-minute difference on an average of people. I mean, some of them were even more than that as well. So like, I don't know if you ever have like what we call the monkey brain. You're just laying in bed, just like, my body's so tired, but my brain will not shut off.
Yeah.
Yoga can help. And then also they all reported reduced stress, anxiety, and depression. And what else do I have? I think those are the main things. And anyway, and that was just with yoga. That wasn't like anything rigorous. It was yoga. So yeah. I think yoga, you can really find yoga beneficial. Again, going back to like different levels of your, like whatever physical level you're at, like yoga can really, really be modified for anybody.
Oh yeah, for sure. Digestion too can help with when you're doing exercising, again, at any level. I know this might be a little TMI or weird to talk about, but your bowel movements, get easier when you have more circulation, more movement in the body, because it moves everything more freely. And I don't know if anyone notice when they eat unhealthy foods or, not incorporating much movement in their life, their bowel movements might be very painful. And that's the reason. So when there's movement in your life, exercise in your life, healthier eating, I'm not necessarily saying you have to be completely healthy, but making healthier choices, that movement helps with bowel movements.
Yeah. And movement helps with your movements. Yeah,
exactly. Movement helps with movement. We'll keep it like that.
I like that. Okay, so National Institute of Health wants to remind us that incorporating movement and exercise into your life can actually be very beneficial for those that are battling with substance abuse and habits in general, like smoking, for example. What else have I written down? Okay, alcoholism, substance abuse, nicotine addiction is what I had written down. It can be very beneficial for that. It kind of goes along with like the mental fatigue of life in general and things like that. And you're just like, or you're anxious about something, constantly thinking about it. It helps like deal with it. I don't know how else to describe it, but I personally haven't dealt with substance abuse, so I can't speak on that personally, but just reading this study was saying that it can be very helpful. I have heard stories of people that kind of like traded their addiction for exercise and like really improved their life. And that has been like invaluable to them as far as kicking their habits and improving their health and everything too, because once you're battling substance abuse, you're putting your body through a lot. So the movement helps recover from that as well.
Correct.
Also from the same source, National Institute of Health, talking about moderate and up exercise. So not like like we're talking about in the beginning of just like getting up and moving around, but people who are like weightlifting, doing cardio, XYZ, improve sleep, which we did talk about.
Yep.
And the reason we didn't really touch on this, but when you can improve your sleep, that also is going to help different aspects of your life. So when you get bad sleep, your immune system suffers from that. You become somewhat, not like totally immunocompromised, but like it does affect your immune system. And then your mood, going back to your mood, it can make your mood worse if you don't get good sleep, and it slows down your metabolism. So movement is going to help you with that, as well as your cognitive function. So like your foggy brain, things like that, exercise is going to help. And I will say personally, I've noticed a huge difference, especially the past couple weeks, with changing my vitamins, like increasing my vitamins and making sure I'm getting the vitamins I need. And then as well as exercising on top of it, I have felt a lot more mentally clear than I have in a while, actually. I was really surprised. Definitely, especially with like taking supplements now, I feel a lot better.
Yep.
And then cardio, just wanted to touch on that. This is actually my last point, was about cardio benefits. Just from Cleveland Clinic, lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol,
Yep.
lower risk of type 2 diabetes, lower risk of heart disease,
Yep.
help with weight management, and improve circulation, which we did touch on that earlier.
Yeah.
But that's for like cardio stuff specifically. However, I will say, people are like, you shouldn't be doing cardio, you should do weightlifting, or like you should do some cardio with your weightlifting. I'm like, when you do weightlifting, you are working out your heart. That thing is thumping away. So I don't know. To me, it's like you are doing cardio while you're weightlifting. But
oh yeah. Yeah, I also have that it will lower the risk, because you mentioned heart disease and also stroke and osteoporosis.
Yes, that's true too.
So you're literally getting everything moving, your joints, your muscles, the oxygen in your blood, everything. So it's really, I mean, it's overall beneficial in literally every area.
Yeah, there's really no reason to not try to incorporate some movement in your life, unless right. You're like seriously physically incapable of doing it for some reason. But even so, I think there are small, minute things that you can do to start and just do a little bit of something. Just like everything we've talked about in our podcast, we don't ask that you dive in completely with this different mindset and go from like that switch, the switch flipping. Like in incorporating exercise is the same way. As a matter of fact, so we're going to talk a little bit about the health journeys we've been on.
Yeah.
I actually started with movement knowing that eventually I wanted to alter my diet as well to reach my goals. But I know from previous experience, when I dive all in, I burn out real fast. I can't sustain it. And I knew that going into it this time. So I was like, okay, let's be logical. So this time, what are we going to do to be successful? So I decided to just start with exercise and then deal with the diet later. If I can incorporate this into my lifestyle and keep that consistent, then I can start incorporating the other things and keep those consistent, and then eventually get there. Yes. That was my idea anyway. So on my personal weight loss and health journey, it really, honestly, weight loss wasn't even my goal. It has not been my goal this time either. It's a nice side effect, but if you're improving your health, if you really are overweight and really do need to lose weight, if you're improving your health and your movement and your diet, the weight will follow naturally. It's like you don't have to make that the goal. That will come as well. So I just wanted to feel not as weak, because I had a lot of health issues earlier this year. As well, you may or may not know that I was hospitalized earlier for a weird waterborne illness and or food and waterborne illness. I was in the hospital and I was a wreck for like a couple weeks, and then beyond that, and then I relapsed. I don't think I told you guys that, but I wasn't that bad the second time around, but it was rough. It was rough. I had a rough couple months this year. And like after all that, I just felt so weak. And I had started weightlifting before that, but like all my progress was lost. I was starting over again. So that was where I started doing weight training, which if you've seen my channel, like you may have seen the art that I made for another YouTuber on here, Kaylee Cohen. She does strength training and she does cycling classes, which Kristen may or may not talk about in a second. And I just love her to pieces. And so I've been doing strength training with Kaylee Cohen Strength here on YouTube. And I love it. So I've been doing that. And then I started incorporating my diet. And I feel so much better right now than I have in a really long time. And I just attribute a lot of it to getting more movement in my life, because I was very sedentary. Like I take my kids out places, but it's like, okay, well, they'll go to a playground or something and I'll sit on a bench or something like that, you know? Yeah. So now we try to do more like hikes together, which we were doing now and again before, but like I'm trying to do it more so now so that I can also benefit from getting out of the house and getting that movement in. Yeah. As an example. So Kristen's turn.
So yes. So you mentioned cycling. So I used to work out a lot. this was before Kyle,
Oh,
so I did work out a lot. I was going to the gym every other day before work and showering there, whatever. I was really in great health, everything. You get in a relationship, things happen, it's fine. So I'm like, it's about time to get back into it, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. We now live in a town that's pretty rural, and there's no gym that's like close enough to make it worth it. So actually, I got the idea of cycling or indoor cycling, spin class, however you want to word it. I think it's all the same.
yeah.
My I have a friend on YouTube, not YouTube, Instagram. Her name is Emily, and she is a spin class instructor. One of her many things that she does. So I would love to do her class, but she's in Montana and it's like in person. So I'm like, how can I make this work like here?
Yeah.
So I was like, I wanted to buy an indoor cycle, an indoor bike, but I don't have the space. You know what I mean? We have limited space here. So I'm like, well, what about if they have one that like folds up, and I can just kind of stick it in the corner. So I went on like an Amazon search and I was able to find one. I found a lot actually. Picked one, whatever, got it. Okay, so we'll skip to that. And I had known about Kaylee Cohen because of what you were telling me about her, but I didn't think that she did cycling because you talked about strength training.
Yeah.
So I, get on YouTube and I'm like indoor cycle trainings or whatever. She comes up.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it every morning for half an hour. I feel great. First of all, she's a butt kicker. Okay. I can't do some of them. Like some of the parts of the workout, I'm like, girl, you are crazy. I'm going to sit my butt on this chair, on the seat, and just
She's
pedal
an
really fast.
animal. Yeah. I don't know how she's got stamina for days. That one.
But I realize that I'm a beginner. So I'm not going to be able to do everything that she's doing in these videos. So that's something I want you guys to remember. If you're just starting out, don't push yourself to do something in a video that you're not going to be capable of doing because you're just starting out. So if I physically couldn't do it, or I was too out of breath, which I still am almost a month into doing this, I don't push myself and I just say, I'll get there one day. It's just not going to be right now. So, but benefits, I mean, I feel amazing. I mean, of course, first when I get off the bike, I can't feel my legs, but but after that, I feel really good. I do it in the morning because I find that to be, for me, the most beneficial because it gives me that boost of energy for the rest of the day, makes me feel better for the rest of the day. And then by the time like the day goes on and it gets into nighttime, I'm very tired and it makes it easier for me to go to sleep. And I've just been incorporating a healthier diet. I'm not trying to go crazy. We're not saying to dive all in, cut carbs, eat this, don't eat that. I just am making healthier choices with breakfast and sometimes lunch, and then I'm eating a normal dinner. But again, like portions is a big thing too, to worry
That's a
about.
hard one. Yeah.
Yeah, to not like overindulge and stuff like that. But overall, I've been feeling great. I can't wait to like tonight, like it's, nighttime. I can't wait to go to bed, get up and do it again. So
Yeah.
you get that like momentum, talking
Yes.
about the quote in the beginning, and you just want to keep going. You get in that, what do they call that? That adrenaline, dopamine, all that stuff,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
you start to look great, feel great, and you just keep it going if you can.
Yeah. It's funny because like I definitely experienced that, especially in the beginning, not like right away, but a few sessions into the strength training. It's like I don't know, it's like a switch where like you're at first it's like, all right, I'm doing this because I have to. But then all of a sudden you're like, I can't wait for the next workout. Like that felt so good. Like maybe at the end of it, you're kind of like exhausted, but it's like later on that day, you're like, man, I can't wait to do that again. And you kind of surprise yourself because it's like all of a sudden there's that mental shift in your, thought process about from going from like, all right, I guess I should do this to like looking forward to it. And that I love that when that happens, that's like pivotal. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And Kyle started the gym. He has a new position right now, a temporary position down hour and a half or more from here. Anyway, there's a gym by his job. So he started going there, and it's a great stress reliever for him. So he does it as a big stress relief. He has a very, stressful job. So he uses that he really goes in and he really just uses it to relieve his stress. And then he feels better and relieved and lighter, like you feel lighter on your feet and everything. So it's definitely something that everyone should consider. Like we talked about, no matter what stage you're at, if you're just doing a little bit or a lot of bit, or starting from a little and moving your way up, you should think about it.
For sure. And it's funny too, because Troy also, my husband, also has been working out now too, since I have. And it's like, you can encourage other people without saying a word. You know what I mean? You do something positive towards yourself. Other people notice like the improvements in you, and you end up encouraging people without even trying. And it's a pretty cool ripple effect. I think that's what happened here. I think I encouraged him. I like to think I did.
Well, you probably did, because I started cycling and, Kyle's like, well, maybe I can use it one night or two. I'm like, no, you can get your own.
Oh, share your bike.
I was joking, half joking. But
there's a weight limit. Too bad, Kyle. Sorry.
But I was telling my parents about it, and they're like, oh, well, maybe we can get one and do a little bit, because they have bikes for seniors, stuff like that, and all these other different things. And they aren't obviously going to be standing up and, doing all the exercises, but they can do something seated, and they're looking into it now too for a little bit of movement. So yeah, it's definitely a ripple effect.
Yeah, I've been looking into it too, even though like I knew about Kaylee's cycling channel, but like I didn't think about actually doing it. But then when Kristen told me about the bike she got and how it's a decent bike for a decent price, I'm like, I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I am thinking about it. Cause I don't know. I'm pointing over there because that's where some of our gym equipment is, but I have both a treadmill and a rowing machine. So like a bike on top of it feels like, I don't know, should I do that? But then I can have it upstairs where like I am most of the time. I'm not down here too often. So
yeah.
Anyway, I'm
thinking about it.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about it. I am. I was looking again. Actually, I put one in my Amazon cart yesterday, but I haven't moved forward from there. But anywho. All right. Last thing I'm going to say on this topic is just I guess I'm going to say two things. Reiterate the fact that everything's on YouTube, and that's a great place to start to dip your toes into anything. But also, don't force yourself into something that you don't like. I think the most important thing about exercising, I put this above everything else on the exercising like rules list. Find something that you can sustain. Don't go decide running is your thing because other people are running, and then you go run and you're like, this is miserable. I'm hot outside. I don't enjoy running for whatever reason. Like, I don't like that. But then maybe you like riding a bike, and like that's a completely different, form of using your body. Or maybe you like swimming, and swimming is a lot easier on the joints. Or like, there's so many different physical activities out there that you can do. Just simple stretching can even be beneficial to your body. Yoga, like we talked about earlier.
Yep.
There's a plethora of things. There are sports for days. I personally love disc golf. Disc golf is like, if I could go disc golfing all the time, I would. It's hard to find time to do it. It's not accessible, which is why I can do other things at my house, like the lifting weights and stuff like that. But when I can, I love to get out and disc golf. It's like, my husband calls it competitive hiking. If you guys don't know the sport, look it up. But yeah, basically you're playing a game through the woods as you hike. There's no like pressure to be fast or anything like that, or even good. You're just competing against yourself, and I love it. But anyway, all that to say, find something you love. Don't find something you don't love and try to force yourself into it.
Yeah, and even if you need ideas, maybe you don't know what's out there or what you can do. There's YouTube again. So search on YouTube, use Google, whatever you need to do. Maybe there's like a sport or an activity or an exercise that you've never heard of, and you are going to learn about it, and it could be the one for you.
That's true. Pickleball.
That's like the new thing now.
This is the new thing. I still don't even really know what it is. Yeah, no, I don't know what it is. I think it's kind of like
I thought it was tennis, but with more of like a ping pong paddle.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's something like that. But I hear about it all the time, but I've still never played it. Yeah. But yeah, a quick search is going to be so easy. You know, sports for overweight people, sports for people with bad ankles, or exercise for people with bad ankles, or like, you know, whatever your thing is, just Google it. There's an answer. And then there's probably a YouTube video with instructions. But anywho, all right. I hope that Kristen and I have given you the little push you need to do it, because it really, like, man, I can't even tell you how much you're going to feel better once you start moving more. So anywho, anything else to add, Kristen?
I think just if you find anything that works for you, or if you started something, let us know. Put it down in the comments. Let us know. Maybe you can help somebody else, give someone else an idea.
Yes. I like that. Yes. Put it in the comments below. Yep. So if you have like some sort of like, I do this because I have this limitation, but I can still do this, or I really enjoy this, or I really like some weird obscure sport like disc golf and no one's heard of it, you guys should look it up. Something like that in the comments. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today and listening and everything. And yeah, that's it for this one. Hope to see y'all on the next one in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yep. All right. See you guys then. Bye.